Students, this is Dr. Chandrakala HT. In this video, I'll be teaching you the closed loop congestion control technique and also quality of services. In closed loop congestion control, uh, the congestion will be eliminated only after it happens. So the closed loop technique will never try to prevent the happening of congestion before it happens. Once the congestion happens, the closed loop techniques are used to treat the congestion and get rid of congestion, which has happened currently. There are several techniques which are used for closed loop congestion control. The first technique is back pressure. So in back pressure technique, whenever a node gets congested, what it will do is it will stop receiving packets from the upstream node. So what this will do is this will cause the upstream node or nodes to become congested because the current node is rejecting the packets, it's not receiving. Hence, it will build a pressure on the upstream node, and that will reject receiving the data from above nodes. And this back pressure propagates to the next upstream node. So like this pressure propagates back till the source node, and after some time automatically the congestion will reduce because the flow of packets will reduce. So back pressure is a node to node congestion control technique. As it propagates in the opposite direction of the data flow, we call it as a back pressure technique. So this picture shows the back pressure technique quite nicely. Say the third node in the network is currently congested. It will apply back pressure on second node by rejecting the packets which is sent by the second node. Due to this, the second node will become congested. It cannot handle packets which it is reserving because, which it is receiving because its outgoing link is currently choked. So it will start rejecting the packets from the previous upstream node. That is the first node. So again, thus the congestion propagates to the first node, and the first node gets congested and it informs the source node to slow down because it is not able to handle the packets due to the communication network constraints. So the back pressure technique has a suitability for virtual circuits. So if a virtual circuit is established between the source and destination node through all the intermediate nodes, then each node will have an information about the adjacent upstream node. So only then the back pressure technique can be used. And this back pressure technique is not useful for datagram packets where the intermediate nodes do not have any information about the upstream nodes. The second technique is choke packet technique. The choke packet technique is applicable to both virtual networks as well as datagram networks. In this technique, a choke packet, which is a special packet sent by the node to the source node whenever congestion happens. So whenever a particular node is congested, it will send a choke packet to the source node. How will it get the information about the source node? The source address will be there in the packet itself. So seeing that, it will send a choke packet to the source. So each router also monitors its resources and utilization of each of its output lines. Whenever resource utilization exceeds the threshold value, which is preset by the administrator, even the router can send a choke packet to the source, giving it a feedback that it has to reduce the traffic in order to avoid the congestion, in order to overcome the congestion which is happening. So choke packet is one such technique, which is a special packet which is sent back to the source whenever congestion happens. So all this is done by when a congestion would have happened. A choke packet can be sent by a node if it is congested, or even if a router sees that the resource utilization or network utilization has crossed the threshold and the congestion has occurred, it can send a choke packet to the source node, which is currently sending the data on the network. So this diagram shows the choke packet technique. If the node 3 is congested, it will directly send back the choke packet to the source node. You can observe the choke packet never travels to the intermediate nodes. It goes directly from the congested node to the source node. The next technique which is used for closed loop congestion control is implicit signaling. In implicit signaling, there is no communication between the congested nodes and the source. The source guesses by itself that there is congestion in the network. So whenever sender keeps sending several packets and it has not received the acknowledgement pack back for a while, it will understand that there is a congestion by default, and it will reduce the number of packets it is sending, or it will halt for some time, pause its transmission for some time, and later restart it. So this is implicit signaling. Another possibility is explicit signaling. In explicit signaling, if a node experiences congestion, it explicitly sends a packet to the source or destination to inform about the congestion. So there are two possibilities in explicit signaling: forward signaling and backward signaling. In forward signaling, signal is sent in the direction of congestion. That is, the node will send a signal to the destination node to warn it about the congestion, and the destination will adopt policies to reduce the congestion. In backward signaling, the signal is sent in the opposite direction of the congestion. That is, the node will warn the source node about the congestion, and the source node understands that it has to slow down seeing this warning. So this is the explicit signaling technique. So this is how the closed loop congestion control techniques will handle congestion after it happens. The next concept which we will be learning in this video is quality of service. Quality of service is a very broad area of importance with all these network applications today. So this quality of service which we discuss here refers to the traffic control mechanisms which seek to either differentiate performance based on the applications or based on the network operator requirements, or provide some predictable or guaranteed performance to the applications, sessions and traffic aggregates. So we expect quality in any of the product we buy today. So if we are buying data packets or network service from an internet service provider, we expect the best type of service for us. So when we talk about network services, we want guaranteed performance, or at least some predictable performance for our applications. That's what is the major expectation from a network, and we expect the speed and avoidance of data loss whenever we communicate on the network. So the basic phenomena for QoS means it's in terms of packet delay and losses of various kinds. We expect quality of service in order to avoid packet delay and packet losses due to different reasons. So to talk more specifically about why QoS is needed, in video and audio conferencing methods, like say you're attending online classes or YouTube live classes, you require bounded delay and loss rate. Say if there is too much of delay, then the quality of video and audio will be hampered, and it becomes difficult for the listeners to understand what is being talked in the conference. And if data is lost or packets are lost, some of the conversation will be missed by the audience of the video and audio conference. So for video and audio conferencing, bounded delay and very less data loss rate is expected. Similarly, when video and audio streaming are done, live streaming is done, the packet loss rate should be very less. And of course, a delay can be tolerated for a little while, but packet loss is not going to be tolerated. In time critical applications like real-time applications, delay should be completely avoided. They expect no delay, literally. Delay avoidance is an important factor there. And some valuable application should be provided better service than less valuable applications. There are some very important applications like say you have a COVID call center or audio conference, or some military applications where the information has to be conveyed within the shortest possible time, and the application cannot be delayed because it's a high priority application. So for such applications, the best of the best services should be provided compared to less valuable applications. So there should be some proper quality of service specification which deals with the needs of its users and provides services accordingly. The four main QoS requirements are delay, and delay variation, which we call as jitter, where audio and video are not syncing, and throughput, the total turnaround time it is taking for a data transmission, and error rate. So we want less delay, less jitter, less error rate, and high throughput generally. So to ensure these, we need QoS. There are two types of QoS solutions: stateless solutions and stateful solutions. In stateless solutions, the routers will not maintain any fine-grained information about the state of the traffic currently, which is going on in the network. Such routers or such solutions for quality of service, they are scalable and robust, but their services are weak as they do not guarantee about the delay or the performance of the network, because they don't have any state information, current information which dynamically keeps on updating. Since it's a static solution, it cannot guarantee good performance, but it can serve a lot of users at a time. It's scalable and robust. The other type of solution is stateful solution. In this, the routers will maintain the state of flow which is happening in the network, and hence it can provide powerful services like guaranteed services, high resource utilization, and data protection. But this is less scalable and less robust compared to stateless solution. So the user has to choose between stateless solutions and stateful solutions depending on what type of quality of service he requires. Does he require guaranteed service and high resource utilization, high protection? Then he has to choose stateful solution. If a robust and scalable system is desirable, then stateless solutions have to be picked by the user. So quality of services are quite important in order to ensure good quality network services for the network users. Thank you.